Welcome everyone to our workshop today. We are super lucky to be joined with the Subsocial team, and today's workshop is all about creating decentralized social experiences. Then Subsocial and Grill Chat. So if you were on the Educate series, you would have heard Tushar from our other talks. But again, we're super lucky that he's joining us here today with our hackathon. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Tushar to the stage.
So, hi everyone, I'm Tushar Ojha from Subsocial, and the name shows Tushar Subsocial Ojha, but all right. Okay, so in this particular talk, I'm really excited because we're going to talk about how you can actually get started building on top of Subsocial. And if you were a part of the Educate series, I literally talked about why it's a need of the time that we should have a Web3 social interface, and we should have the ownership of the content that we create over these social media. And I'll be covering off not just why it's important. I'll give you a quick recap, of course, but it's not just about how and why we need it, but we'll also talking about how you can build it. How in this like 1 hour duration, you will get an idea about uh, what can you contribute to this Web3 social ecosystem. So, and we'll also talk about the bounties, of course, that we are Subsocial coming up with in this hackathon, and it will be super amazing for you all. I think let's get started. I'll share the screen. Just let me know if you can see it. Awesome. So the topic of this call today that we are in is about creating decentralized social experiences, learning how you can build on top of Subsocial, learning about Grill Chat and what we are doing at Subsocial. So when we get started, we are talking about that the problem is social media is broken today. And when I say this, it may you may have encountered people complaining about they get banned from Twitter and like this is not something which we are imagining, but it's something which is happening as we are talking. In 2020 itself, there are over 1 million accounts which were suspended from Twitter. Manipulation, where you don't own the content, you don't choose which algorithm which is feeding you the content. And there have been debates about the Twitter algorithm which they open source later on. But what if it was open source from the day one, which is possible with Web3 social. And big organizations covering up with the smaller organizations, which is very common if you see on the social media. And exploitation of the creators is something which we have seen a lot. In case of YouTube, if you see, it takes more than 45% of the cut from creators ad revenue and keeps it for themselves. So this is something which we all go through. And censorship is something which even like you may have also encountered at some point, where when you're posting something, the intransparent policies of these social platforms, and not just about the government but also these social platforms, which because of which your content is taken down. So there are tons of reasons why we can say clearly that the social media is broken. Your personal data is being sold off for profit without taking consent from you. So is there any possibility to get out of this whole social media is broken thing? Can we do something about it, or it's just a problem that we have to live with it? So actually, the freedom of speech, as we say, is possible, where you can be a part of a decentralized society where you regain the control. You have a digital identity, you have a personal network, and have conversations with each other one and on in a same way which we have with Web2 social. We remove the middlemen. That means that there is not requirement for these platforms, and these platforms are not the owners. These are actually like what platforms are meant for, to give people an opportunity to talk and discuss. That's what the platforms are for. And we can make them again the same, not the owners of the conversation. And similarly, we also talk about the custom view, where, as I said, the user interfaces and experiences could be according to the users. If you like the Twitter UI right now, how it is, awesome. But let's say you don't like it, you want it to be tuned in some other way, in some other theme, or with some other features. You just don't want to wait for it. You can go ahead and build the same interface by yourself, and it will have all the users already. It will have all the data already because it's part of the blockchain. So that's what we call a true on-chain experience, where you have a profile, you have an identity, you have a key which you hold with, and the content is a part of it, which is attached to this key, that makes sure that your ownership is there. It's an open social graph. That means you can take your content and your audience from one platform to other without losing them. So if YouTube bans you today from their UI, you can go ahead on a similar platform with a similar UI. You will still have all your subscribers, all your viewers, all your videos, and every single thing. So that's basically having a digital footprint, and that's what we want. And there are awesome possibilities with Web3 social media and unique features which you can see on the screen. I'll just giving a quick recap of what we discussed earlier. And now comes the question of this talk, that what it takes to build a Web3 social app. So technically, there are a couple of languages that you need to learn if you want to build in this space and you want to build a decentralized social media. These include Solidity, Rust, and JavaScript, which are most popular technologies if you think about in the Web3 space. But with Subsocial, you don't need to learn about Solidity. Rust and JavaScript are the part of the Polkadot ecosystem, majorly if you think of not the EVM-based chains in Polkadot. But yeah, and we at Subsocial we figured out that Rust is also something which is a lot of effort to get started with for the developers who are coming from Web 2. So we are even removing this friction where you just need the JavaScript as a programming language. That's the prerequisite that we have. If you know JavaScript, if you know some of these frameworks like React, Next.js, or anything like that, then you can get started. And even in this bounty, that's in this hackathon, you also only need JavaScript experience broadly to get started, and you will be good to go. And how will it look like is that we have a developer focused ecosystem where there are a set of tools that we provide at Subsocial, which is a parachain on Polkadot. And these tools like JS SDK that we have, the GraphQL endpoints that we have, like you can just play on the GraphQL playground, or we also have a starter kit with which you can get started. I'll show you right now, but with which you can get started in few seconds. The project will be live. We also have a playground, which is very awesome and is something which I love the most, where you can experiment without downloading anything and build multiple dApps on top of it. So, and of course, like all the social primitives that you need in is present on our blockchain, like username, pro follows, follow, reactions, and every single thing. And let's quickly go to the playground and start building, start seeing how things work at Subsocial. So I still think you should be able to see my screen. Yes, you are. Okay. Cool. So I'll just go to this URL, play.subsocial.network. Here, what you see is basically a playground which is hosted on a website. It's a React application where you can engage with our JS SDK. So we have a JavaScript, TypeScript based SDK which you can use to engage with the blockchain, whether it's sending the transactions, engaging with the wallets, or actually, like fetching data from the blockchain. So this code snippet which you see on my screen right now is a code snippet that will fetch about a space. So if you think about what is a space in Subsocial, so there are some social primitives that we should know. A space is basically a collection of posts of a specific type. So like you as a user can create multiple spaces, like multiple groups you can think of, and in those groups there could be multiple posts. So that's how like you create a space. It's like a group of posts for a specific purpose, and you can set description, title, and anything you want for that space. So there could be a space specifically for dogs or cats discussions. There could be a space for a particular YouTube channel, is for example is a space of a creator, and there could be multiple posts of it, and a creator can have multiple YouTube channel. So you can think of this way. So there is this space with the space ID of 1058, and in just 3 lines of code, I am able to find the space ID from the blockchain and read it in JavaScript. I'll just click the run button. It's on the testnet right now, and you can see that I got the results immediately. So this is the structure which is coming from blockchain. That means like this is the data which is stored on chain, and the content which you see is stored on IPFS, which we are using Trust. And you can see the details about the created account, the account who created the space, at what time it was created, in which block it was part of, and is it updated recently, or what's the content ID on IPFS. You can just copy it and check on IPFS, it should work. Similarly, again, the space ID, the owner ID, so they can be like you can transfer the ownership of things. You can choose like there's content moderation built in on the blockchain, where you can choose who can write post on this space. Is it just you, the owner who created? Is it the followers? Is it everyone can write it? So based on these moderation techniques, you can choose who should be able to write the content. And what's the content of this particular space itself? This content is basically the bio or the about of the space, where you have a space name, a few tags like this is related to tweets and backups, and the about description of the tag, summary, and whatever you want. Basically, this is highly customizable. You can choose any properties that you want that fits in for your thing. You can just do it. And how you do it, if you go to the writing section of this and click on create space, So here you can see like that we have this ipfs.save content. I can just modify anything in this. Like let's say I want to have um, a new property called is viral, let's say, and I set it to true for now. And with just these 3-4 lines of code, I'm able to create a new space and send a transaction. So I did this. Now you can see the status here that that the transaction is in broadcast, and it will like some blocks or like miners will basically pick it up and start mining the transaction. Once it is in block, that means the transaction is there, and it takes a few blocks after that to confirm the transaction. So it will be created like you, as you said, like as I said, like you have created something which is on chain and it's a space, and we have all the primitives. Like you want a post, you want to build a profile. So profile is basically a space that we did in a similar way. The profile is you, but it's just that you mark on the blockchain that this profile represents your space. So then everything you have, like about, image, name, and these are basically your properties of the profile. So I created a new space and I got the ID here. And if I go back here and if I want to fetch it, I should be able to fetch this, and you will see that there's this new property already in it. So you can customize the content any way you want, and you can set the permissions. So you can get comments, reactions, following, domains. We have literally anything you want as a part of the social primitives to get started. Now this sounds awesome, right? Like, but what's next? How do you use it? So for that, to get started, we have a starter kit that we built for you. With just 1 line of code, you can just start building. So how does that work? The starter kit has like a set of libraries already installed. The dependencies are already there, and you can just get started. So let's see how does it work. So all you have to do is to copy this, open terminal. I'll increase the font size, and let's see if it works. I'm not sure. Oh wait, I should go to desktop first. So it will basically download this new template and like create a version of Subsocial starter template, basically the starting layer for everything you want to build on top of Subsocial. A new app or whatever you need is already in it, like wallet APIs or blockchain APIs, GraphQL. Everything is built in. So it will take a few seconds. Let's move ahead. I know it's like lots of talk, but we'll get deep into code just in a bit. So like this is the starter, and the next thing is the grill chat that we built. So let's wait for it first, then maybe. So it initialized a new package, and now it's basically fetching all the dependencies that are needed right now using npm or yarn install, which you know. And yeah, it should take a few seconds, and then we are good to go. And by the way, just sharing a few more resources as you're going to build in this hackathon. We have this docs.subsocial.network. It's our website where you will find everything you need to start building. Like if you want to join the community, we have the links for the Telegram group community and everything. If you click on build your dApp, it's your homepage basically. You have everything which you need to know about network configurations, SDKs, starter kit, and the quick start guide, cheat sheets, and a developer chat, a Telegram group basically, which you can join and ask your questions right after this session. Sometimes like a few things does not work in a live demo, but you can go ahead in the chat and ask follow-up questions on them. So if we go ahead again, it will take a few seconds. So now I'll want to share you about one problem. So if you see, like if you want to see some of the projects which are on top of Subsocial already, for example, this is like Polkadot. It's built on top of Subsocial, where you can see multiple people posting blog posts. So you can go ahead here and see everything is coming from on-chain, like this post details in the markdown format. You can upvote, downvote. You just have to connect the wallet like this I did. And yeah, so it will basically help you get started, and now you can upvote, downvote. For that you need some energy or tokens basically. So this is the broad idea of the thing, but if you see, the problem here is that if you want to engage with this website today, if you want to engage with any web3 social website, you need some extensions. And if you see here, when I try to click upvote, it asks for energy, and to generate energy, what I need sub tokens. So I don't have any sub tokens. Either I could go to get free energy on Discord and like start doing this. But if you think broadly, then it's a lot of friction. I can go on Facebook or Twitter today. If I'm not banned, I can just tweet immediately. There is no friction at all. I can go on Telegram, start messaging. There's no friction at all. But with this, every time there is a friction, and I just want to like this post. So you feel the problem here, that Web3 social in itself is good. It has all the values, but it's still broken. It still has a lot of onboarding friction. So at Subsocial, we realized this problem, and rather than ignoring it, we thought to build something to resolve it. And this is what we have for you. Easy to use decentralized chat system. So imagine Telegram on blockchain. So it's similar to that, where you have multiple communities. All you need to do is to go through a one captcha once, only once, and then a new wallet will be created for you. And this is real time chat experience. There is just 2 seconds of block time. Like if you do a message, it will take 1 and 2, and that's it. Your message is on chain. If you think about the demo I showed with you, playground. In the playground, I had to wait for a lot of seconds, minutes to actually get the transaction on chain. Whereas with this, it's just 2 seconds. You see, I send hello everyone. I go through the captcha, click hit, and then just 2 seconds it's on blockchain. There's no tokens needed for users. That means like your users don't need to buy tokens to use your app. There is no extension they need to install. They can just get started in a few clicks. So that's what the grill does. We're using our energy palette, and it's fully decentralized. So you also can like this grill chat app is 100% open source. You can do it, and that's what we have for you in the bounties, where we expect you to do two things. Like there's two bounty options, whichever whichever is related more with your experience, you can get started with that. So we want you to build two things. One is a Gatsby plugin. That is basically you create a plugin that will integrate with Gatsby host type of platforms. And you also have to build like 2 3 simple web apps to showcase that this plugin works as a backend for interaction with social entities. Like I showed you the SDK, right? The playground. In the playground, it could be you can create this plugin for like it could be a transformer plugin or a source plugin, where you show different features and engage, get the data from on chain and show it onto the Gatsby website. So it should be very easy for these blog writers, and you can maybe add features like posts, comments, likes. So you have to incorporate these on chain data as well, so that like you get the data from on chain. You have the ownership, but you are still able to get the enough SEO that you want from these Gatsby like tools and a website front end. So you have to build that plugin and show us that the plugin works by building 2 3 simple web apps using that plugin as a backend for and use Subsocial for the backend for integration with all like entities that you like. And also like you can have some monetization features, like everything mentioned in the description, like dot or KSM. You can tip the creator, and it will go to that creator's wallet based on the Gatsby configuration they do. And I'll show you how you can do it. I'll give you an example as well for both of them. And we have up to 3K prizes for this, $3,000 in prizes for this, based on what how we like your project, what's the idea, what features do you add, and everything. In a similar way, we have another project idea for you to do, that is extending the grill chat functionality. As I said, that the grill chat app is open source 100%. So you can go ahead with the grill chat app, try out, run it locally, which I'm going to show you how it will work, and then add some additional features to it. So additional features could be a monetization option, an option where you can create new topics very easily, like maybe some chat rooms or something, a tweet centric topic. Maybe user puts a tweet on this, and then the conversation can start over a chat. You can add authentication layers on top of it, maybe include some wallets, so that it's easy to have that key with you. And like use anonymous topics. So there are tons of ideas which are possible, but what you have to do is figure it out, what things you want to see in the grill chat app, fork it, make these contributions, make these changes, and show it to us. We have also up to 3K prizes in this. Enough talk. Let's get started building. Yeah. So this is already here. Okay. So what I did here, I started the Subsocial starter kit, and I made a new repository basically. Now I can go ahead here, and I can do yarn, and then yarn start. It will start running the front end locally. So if you see, there's the Gatsby plugin and this. So what is Gatsby? If you don't know, you can go to Gatsby website. This is the front end for, like making static. It's a static generator for websites, so you can build awesome static websites with this. And there is an option where with which you can build multiple, it's open source, and there's option with which you can build multiple plugins, and we expect you to build a few our Subsocial plugin with it. So there's usually two three types of plugins. One is source plugin and is transformer plugin. So with Subsocial, it's very easy for you to read the data from on-chain using a JS SDK. So maybe you can build a source Node.js plugin and then use it in the dApps, or you can try building a transformer plugin on top of it. And someone already tried it. I can walk you through how does that look like. So what happens is that when you go to any, like when you want to create a new Gatsby plugin. One second, is it here? Okay, it's loading. So when you want to build a Gatsby plugin, there's usually this file which you need is gatsby-node.js, and in that you will have a few properties like actions, create node ID, and create content digest. So basically, in Gatsby, what happens is that when you want to render the UI, when you, let's say you are building a blog app, so when you want to render the UI, you have to fetch the data in a standard way which Gatsby suggests. So it's like not open, very open ended thing as it in the Next.js or something. So what you do, you get the data from GraphQL, which is already present inside the Gatsby, and you start doing the query. So here, if you are building a source plugin, so in the plugin you can choose any source you want. There's no limitation that it could be simple JSON file to fetching from an API or whatever, and it will use the source, and then you have to feed to that GraphQL from it. So this is a standard method that you need, like source nodes, and in this you will get these properties. So, and these are the second object which you see is the configuration, which is passed at the time of uh, building, like when you are configuring it to a new Gatsby. Like this is a plugin, right? So when you set the plugin, you set the configurations. So these data will get you will get from the configuration. And what's happening next is that we are creating a new Subsocial API based on the substrate node URL and everything. I'll show you in this that how does that look like. So I open this in the VS Code, and if you see here, also let's start this. We are all good. There's no issues. You were seeing this page. I showed you about. So you saw a lot of theory, but what was happening behind the screen is when I was saying, like, let's fetch something. So let's do this thing. So I just did one thing in this. I opened the terminal and I ran this command, npx create react app my app template. That's what I did. And after that, I did yarn install. That's it. Once that is done, I can maybe show you the commands as well. So I did these commands. I did run this command. I got into this repository, my app, and I did yarn to install all the dependencies. And then I opened it in the VS Code, and then I did yarn dev, which did not work. It should be yarn start, and then it started basically the runner for this. So it's at localhost 3000. It will open the starter basically. And when I open the starter code, this is the my app. So it will have a few files, if you see, like this thing. But if you go into the configuration, so we have a set of configuration for testnet or mainnet. By default, it's on the testnet, and we build this provider for you, which you can use to get the API and every single thing which you need. And usually in the network configuration, if you see, we need two things, that is substrate node and IPFS URL. So these things you can get from docs, and like it's already there for you in the starter kit. But in general, if you want to fetch these configuration, this is present at docs.subsocial.network, right? Next, what we are doing here in this starter is it should work first of all. Maybe I can change the port if it's an issue. Star dashboard 4000. See, localhost. Start social.network. Go here. We'll start. So it will basically open this this page. where you can find a space, create space or toggle, which I showed you in the playground as well in a similar way. And the code looks like this, where you got the basic things, and you got the things get started here in the configuration, and now you can just build on top of it. This is the home page, right? So when you try to fetch a space, it just calls this method to like get space, and in the get space uh, we check if the API is ready, and then the space ID, and these are the 3 lines of code that we already had uh, in our source code basically. So yeah, next up, what we have is 1 second. Yeah. Next up, what we have is this subsocial. Okay, I was talking about this. So next up, what we have is that we got the space. Now you want to create the space. So creating the space is also fairly simple. 1 second. So creating the space is also very simple. What you have to do is you set the save content, like the content data which you have, which you want, and then you pass the transaction in which you need like substrate API dot tx dot spaces dot create space. Now, if we talk about the Gatsby, which I was talking about, the bounty challenges, which are the major bounty challenges, right? Let's talk about those instead. This. So the for this you have to create a Gatsby plugin. Gatsby plugin is very simple to create, and I have an example for you. There's two three types of Gatsby plugin, as I told. One is source, there is transformer, and more. So for example, this is an example Gatsby plugin which is working on right now on Subsocial itself. So if you see, there's a few properties which you get from the like this is like we are getting from a custom methods file, but you have to export a method in this is that is called source nodes. So source nodes, you will receive two things here. One is actions, like this object which will get basic things which you need for like seeding the GraphQL, which is actions, create node ID, create content digest. And the other object is the configurations that you need. So these configurations are custom, which you need based on to like your requirements, and which you ask from the user when they are creating a GetSpeed app. So um, in this case, let's say this app is requesting for these things like substrate node and IPFS URL and something. Why? Because we need it when we are in the testnet. If you see our configurations, so these are these values. So in the configuration, one can choose either the mainnet or the testnet, whatever they want, right? So what's happening next is that you have to now, you based on these configuration details, you have to get some data and feed to the GraphQL. So that's what we are doing. What we are doing here is that we are using the Subsocial API to create that API endpoint. We are finding the spaces here in the method, which you can see on to the playground as well. When we get the spaces, we basically set it to the array, and we put it inside the array, and it's basically a promise array that we have so that we can return it. It's an asynchronous call. So and then we request like we fetch all the spaces. So what this DApp is doing, it's a source transform source plugin of Gatsby. So what's happening here is that when you have a lot of like asynchronous calls, and you want the thing to be very efficient, so what you can do, you can create an array of promises and then resolve it. So that's what we are doing, like promise.all resolve this. So what this doing is it is using multiple spaces, which an array in an array you specify, and from all these spaces it fetches the data and then stores it and feeds to the GraphQL node. So then in the Gatsby, you have a specific way to fetch data, or basically to render the UI, in which you will have to use the GraphQL. Instead, in Next.js or some other like front-end library, you can choose any way you want, and like you can customize it 100%. And Gatsby, it has a specific way. So that's what we are doing. We get the spaces, and then from all these spaces, we get the posts. And in these posts, once we get it, we are feeding it to the GraphQL of the Gatsby. So that's how the overall the flow works, right? And that's what we are doing in this plugin. But what we expect you from the hackathon is to build a little bit more on top of this, not just the basic thing. Whereas we want you to like create a plugin for Gatsby where you can get about posts, likes, comments as well. And to do that, we have something called a, a GraphQL playground. So if you go to the GraphQL docs, I'll zoom it out. So if you go to the GraphQL docs, we have the docs about how you install it into your Node.js or this graph like plugin. and then you can choose the testnet or the mainnet which you want. And if you go, let's say for the mainnet, we go in this endpoint, you can fetch any way you want this data to be, like you can write any query. So if I go a little bit down and I copy this GraphQL query, I can run it to fetch some data from on chain. If I probably need one more curly brace. So you can see I fetched the data about something. So what's this query is about? It's fetching the two most liked posts of this year. So this is how things work. So in a similar way, based on the user requirements, based on the idea and how you want to customize your plugin, you have to use our tools like SDK, the Playground, and the GraphQL to create this sort of a plugin in for Gatsby, and also use this plugin like write good docs, detailed docs, and README, and use this plugin in a DApp to in a Gatsby app to showcase that it works. So make 2-3 projects based on top of it, which will be fairly easy once you have written the base logic here. So yeah, that's the idea for the first grant. If you have any questions or you want me to go in a particular detail of anything, just mention here. I'll go in a details. If you have details about what we are doing or want to do in the uh, in the grant, in the first project idea. I'll wait for like 10, 20 seconds, and then I'll walk you through about the grill chat, which is also very interesting. Write a function that fetches some data and displays it via HTML. Is there a similar example for ghost? Uh, Technically, like ghost and Gatsby plugin, you can create like similarly. There is not enough differences, I believe. So, like we are okay with if you do with Gatsby only. Like we are okay, and I believe it. And like I have not much experience with ghost myself, but I think it should work with that as well, right? So we are okay if you just build for Gatsby and just try it out on Geos. It will work, no problems. Write a function that fetches some data and displays it via HTML. So yes, this is one part of it where we expect, like for the idea behind is that I am having my blockchain where I have my identity, where I post the content. Now there could be any ways possible so that this content can reach to the audience. So if you do something, if you do something like you use this plugin to build a easy to use front end website, and then plug it into that using Gatsby, it's very easy for you to build. And then that consumption layer, because it's a static site generator, it will have much more SEO, and it is much more easy to consume. And you can design it any way you want. You can redesign the UI, and it is very easy for you to fetch that data. So that's what we want. And this is about the right operations. But the great functionality would be like the great example app which we want from you is to not just have that plugin, but also when you build a dApp on top of it, it should have features like, like if that plugin can incorporate features like comments, where if someone replies to it, your plugin is useful to have that comment feature as well, or reactions features at least, where if I like that blog post, I can react to it. And to do that, you have to use our energy palette. So let's talk a little bit about energy and what it is. So I think it should also be mentioned in the description as well, where you can use our energy, subsocial energy functionality to allow platform users to use the app without paying fees. So what does this mean? Is that uh, it's clear, right, that how you can fetch data from blockchain and show it on to the UI in Gatsby. That's what this particular configure, like this particular Gatsby plugin is doing, and that's how I showed you. Like this is how it works. But we want you to do one step ahead, where you also have the right functionalities, where you use the energy and you do it. So what's energy, how it works, and let's see a live example. So this is a grill chat, right? Which I talked about. So let's say if I go to any, right now you see I'm not logged in anyway, right? So I just say hi and I send this message. I'm automatically logged in and this message is sent. I did not need to like, it didn't care about any extensions. Don't have any tokens, and it's working great for me. And you see it's on IPFS and blockchain. How does it work? It works with two things. One is the captcha generator, which uses the captcha to generate a wallet address and identity for the user. And then we are also using an energy palette. So energy palette is an idea where what you can do, you can sponsor the transaction for your users by burning some gas fees. And here is a quick example. If you want to see in the playground also, you can see it. Energy generate, how you generate. You should have sub tokens. Maybe you can have it on testnet. It's very easy to get from the Discord. There's a faucet in the Discord, by the way. So you set the target address on which you want to mint this energy. So you want to mint energy to this target address. This is the amount of sub you will be burning. So basically, you will get 5x more transaction power if you burn one sub token. So uh, you have this target address. It could be address of a user, it could be address of yourself, it can be any address, right? So in this case, when you want to sponsor the transaction for a user so that they don't need to get any tokens or go through the hassle, you can just set their address here and uh, s- call this method to get the amount right, and then just run this like send this transaction where you generate the energy for your users, right? And now you now this address don't need to have any tokens. It is free for this address to use. Cool. And you can run it to see how it works and everything is there. Okay. You will get more idea right now with this when I show you the grill chat, the second bounty. But I think, yeah, opinion on Mastodon would be interesting. Subsocial is great. That's my opinion. Now talking about how things work. Yeah, so that's what we expect, to have more features, not just reading, like just finishing this up about the first bounty, not just reading the data from blockchain, but also like having the right operations using the energy palette, because now that is possible with the energy. When I showed you this, at this time it was not possible, but now it's possible to incorporate energy for right transactions. So right transaction could be reactions, comments, and these features. Okay, let's close this. This is done. If you have any questions, to ask me in the questioning round, and you see that it's successful. Now let's talk about grill chat. Already showed you this grill app, right? It's very simple to use. You have like these sort of chats, and you can get started with it. There's conversations about Polkadot Now India conference, which people were using there, discussing about a few things and what they like. This support for emojis and like probably every single thing which you want, and replies, literally everything you want, right? And the best part about this is that it's open source. So if you go to github.com/devcourse, and if you go to grill chat, you will see this repository here. It's open source. All the code is open source. Now let's see how you can run this grill chat app locally on your machine and get started building. Because the second bounty, we expect you to fork this, build new features. So how do you fork it? Click here. It will create a copy for you like this, and then copy the URL. Go to terminal. Right. I'll close this starter now. I'll go back. I'll say, yeah, check. Says okay. At this place, I want to clone. Now I forked it. Right. This is on my my account. Now when I want to use it, I'll paste this, and it will clone the grill chat app locally for me. Now I have to just go to grill chat, and if you see the steps that you have to do, it's just 3-step process to make it run locally. You have to first do yarn to install all the dependencies, which will probably take the most time, and everything else is fairly simple. And then I'll walk you through about how it works. Oh, cool. It's fast. Now what you have to do is you have to run this command. What it is doing is basically making the configurations, the environment configurations, from local example to making it actually .env file. And I'll do two things: one code dot, so that we can see the code here, and I'll also do yarn here. Yeah, you can see it's up and running. It's running on the testnet. It's running on like on my local machine. It's building from my local machine. You can see it. That's why it's taking a lot of time to load. But yeah, It's on local, and this is the code base of it. Now let's take a deeper look into the code base to get an idea. And overall, the goal for this bounty is to actually, extend the functionality with more features. There's a set of ideas that we are giving. You can think of more and discuss with us and start building and create this work and a better version of the skill chat. So how will it work? So we have a set of examples in this .env example, env local example. We filled it with some properties so that it's easy for you to locally run without manually filling off. So what these server mnemonic is, or what this IPFS pin URL and everything. So you need a lot of things here to make things working. So you can see it's working right now. Yeah, you can send messages and it will log in, and it will work. Now let's take a look at these configurations. You can customize the theme. We have global.css with all the colors. If you go to uh, global.css, here is all the colors, and it's built using Tailwind CSS. So if you want to customize any component, you can go to any particular component, for example this navbar, and you can customize the profile avatar or do anything with it, the positioning, anything literally you want to do with it. So yeah, using the Tailwind CSS. But now let's talk about the environment variables, because that is one of the most important part that you need to know, so that it will give you the idea of the code, how it works, because these environment variables are the necessity of this project. So there's one thing called server mnemonic. Server mnemonic is the mnemonic for your for your basically your wallet, so that you can sponsor you can burn your tokens to sponsor the transaction for your users, right? You want to send tokens to your users. How does that work? I showed you in the playground, right? If you go in the playground, you see this code to generate energy for someone. You have this mnemonic, right? So this is the mnemonic for the testnet. On the mainnet, you will be probably using one of your accounts mnemonic to use your tokens to sponsor the transaction for the users. So that's what this property represents. And when you are on the local host, when you are on the local host, you see this testnet, like X social net. Basically, there's a special chain that we created called X social, which has the 2-second block time and which allows you to do it. So it's not testnet, it's not mainnet, it's X social, the blockchain name. And then you have the configuration details. So basically, you got the idea about server mnemonic, what's the need, how it works. Then we have the Crust IPFS authentication. So basically, when you want to store the IPFS data about the message, you use a Crust token. So we have set it up already for you to work locally, and the IPFS pinned URL, which you already are aware of. Now this is the public space ID. This space ID is where all the posts now will be listed inside as topics. So basically, one space, and in which we will have multiple posts with a chosen topic, right? So this is this architecture. Rather than having multiple spaces of each of these discussions, you have multiple topics for them. And then the captcha is basically required for human verification, so that you can generate a new pair of wallet keys for them. And a lot of the other properties are mostly not required, and this is the base URL for sharing or something. So let's take a look at the code. In this project, we are using like hooks to do most of the things. You will see hooks for like getting the last read unread messages, and we have the services where the actual subsocial code snippets are there. We have like this provider, which is using the substrate URL. Like basically, this provider is using our SDK and our GraphQL, so that you can use it wherever you want. So if you go inside the Subsocial, so you have the GraphQL details, like you want to fetch some API post or something, and the mutations logic. And if you go here inside the Subsocial folder, you will see the queries from the GraphQL which you want to fetch. So it's heavily reliant on GraphQL because it's very fast and you can customize your query. And for the transactions, you are using the SDK to do it. Okay. And the provider basically is built to give you access of these GraphQL client and the SDK across like down the widget tree, down the component tree. So yeah, this is what inside the services folder. And these pages folder contains like different pages of the whole project. where you have a topic, a chat topic, and you can see that we basically get initial details about the topic, what it is, what's the page size, and get some messages for it, and then send it to the chat page, uh, which is inside the pages folder here. Okay, and yeah, here's the UI part of the things, where you have the UI, you render the message based on the number of messages and everything, which you see probably. Yeah, it's on the localhost. Yeah, where's the localhost one? Yeah, here. So you see the number of messages, the chat name, and everything, the topic name, and the messages. So if the Bitcoin was not here, like the word was not here, it should have shown you the word topic. So yeah, basically that's how, like, the whole UI you can just instantaneously change and update with new features, and leverage on top of it. The code quality here is really really good. We have everything defined for you, the constants and the different components you want. So the most of the things are already sorted, like the captcha verification, paying for the gas fees, and sponsoring user transactions. What you just need to do is to leverage the existing boilerplate to build more features on top of it. So if I take you back here, what sort of features do we expect? Maybe like a tipping feature, where if you see, like, there's a lot of users in this space, I can takes time to load on the local host, but let's go here. Okay, so if I go on this user, if I want to, like, sponsor. He messaged me something, he appreciated me. So if I want to, send some reward, I can tip this user from its wallet address. So that is one thing. Another feature could be connection with a wallet. So in case you have a wallet already, like a EVM based wallet, or any like Talisman sub wallet or MetaMask, you add an authentication layer with the wallet so that it's easier to recover if you want. Like, it's not requirement to have a wallet already, but if you want, then you can add an authentication layer. You can, as I said, like, just upload a tweet. There's a topic created for it, and then you can start a conversation there. So use the existing layer which we have already, with the most things already in place, and build these features on top of it. So that's the goal of this whole idea and this bounty. I think, yeah, that is it. If you would like me to, take a go much more deeper, or this specific part which you want to know about this code base of Grill Chat, I can walk you through. But you got the idea how you fork it, how you clone it, and how you run it locally. So if you have any questions, I'm open to it now.
Hi everyone. Yeah, feel free to pop your questions in the chat or in the questions section. Yeah.
Uh, I thought Web3 benefits compared to Web2 decentralized, but subscription gives some sort of motive knowledge. Yeah, Frank, join the Telegram chat. We'll happy to help you while you're building. So that is something which I recommend to everyone. I'll send the link right here, and we'll also give you to send it in the kit. But one second. Yeah, this is the link. Does GrillChat already have a reply functionality? Oh yes, like before I joined this call, it was not there, but we recently announced it a few minutes ago that we launched this chat functionality. So you can track these things on like on GitHub, as we are building. So we are also ourselves are improving, and that's what we expect you to, add more features, make it much better, and it's open source. So we want a collaborative effect, and we'll probably merge it maybe after the hackathon if you do great, or maybe it could be a standalone project. Who knows? I mean, a specific message to reply to, showing it as a reply instead of adding a new general message at the bottom of messages. Yes, yes. There's a list of ideas which we have given on what you can improve on the Grill app. So yeah, uh, just maybe think of more things, or maybe build on those. I honestly would love to see these 2 3 things which we mentioned. Like, we thought a lot about what we want to see as an improvement. Having a Twitter centric topic is very interesting to me, because let's say you have a tweet and then you want to discuss about it and do something like on chain, you can do. Monetization is very easy to add, and must add, everyone should do. And the most useful would be like having an authentication, like, with extensions, like something. Besides this hack, can you give some examples about XCM with Subsocial? Just random ideas. Subsocial team is internally working with XCM in general. we are experimenting a few things. We'll probably, like, if the so things work out, we'll announce. And like, so it's something, it's going on. But if you think about what could be the use cases if this works, is for example, if you could interact with a chains, so of course, like, you can cross transfer tokens or something. But also, like, you want to, let's say you want to have a DApp where which is a social DApp where people chat, and only the people who hold a specific NFT can chat. So at Polkadot Now India conference, they gave an NFT collection. They launched an NFT collection, and after the conference, let's say, and this NFT collection was free only for the people who joined there offline, and for everyone else, they have to buy it. So let's say they were awesome people, and now they want a social feature for them with only the people who have this NFT can chat and discuss, so that they can network after the event, maybe, till the next conference happens in India. So they can use this with XCM to, make sure that get these people based on their NFT holding. So that is very interesting use case, I would believe. Right now you can do it, but it will be on the front end, so not very efficient. Any other question? Or, like, I just want to know once from everyone in this call, is it clear about what are the bounties, how you can build it, or does it seem doable right now to you all? Or if you have any questions, or you still feel like something is very hard, just say yes, else I'll start explaining on the board. It seems clear how to go about attempting the bounties. Cool. That's the purpose of this call. And for further discussions or helps with the code, or if you face any errors, I sent you the link to the Telegram. Just join it, and let's.
Amazing. Any last minute questions before we wrap things up? I'll let everyone enjoy their morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. But yeah, massive thank you again to Tushar for this incredible talk. Learned a lot, and of course, as he said, do join the Telegram conversation, but also Twitter is also there if you do want to connect with Tushar, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer more questions. Sorry, just so Frank just mentioned something.
I don't do the subsocial bounty, but in general, I would like to see 10-hour step-by-step guide of how to build. Just a template and let's go is sometimes a little bit mind-boggling. Okay. Actually, we have these things as well. So in this talk, the purpose was to talk more about the bounties and how you can get started and do attempt these bounties. But if you want to see a step-by-step guide to build something, I have two pretty cool things for you in general. If you're not just interested about the bounty yet, so let me show you. This is a docs, right? There is something called Zero to Hero. Just go to this. It has a step-by-step guide how you can build a decentralized Twitter, and it will, like, if you follow these step-by-step guide, it will take you 1 hour to 2 hour max. Like I did it from in a previous hackathon workshop, which was in general about subsocial, not going details about the bounties, where I built a decentralized Twitter in 50 minutes. So this talk, this is basically the step-by-step guide to do it on top of starter kit. So I would highly recommend you, if you are interested, then just go through it. You'll get more insights about how Subsocial works, and we have our previous video tutorials as well. And you can find those if you go to the docs page and you go to developer tutorial. There's this on our YouTube channel. You can find it, and there is this awesome, like, we created this for everyone, called Awesome Subsocial. Here you can find all the projects that are so far built on top of Subsocial, and the conversations or the talks which you need, like this Twitter app. This is the source code of what I built in the webinar, so you can use it to get started.
If there aren't any more questions, I guess I'll wrap things up here. Thanks again to the Subsocial team and Tushar for joining us yet again on our hackathon. Super lucky to have you here teaching us on this workshop. And also thanks everyone all around the world who's tuned in today. We don't have a workshop tomorrow, so I shall see you all on Thursday. Have a lovely morning, evening, afternoon, day in general, everyone. But yeah, thanks again for coming. Bye.